Well, hello and welcome to Caching in the Northwest. Now, you know this is the podcast from the birthplace of geocaching right here in the great Pacific Northwest. Now, it's Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific. I'm Chris of the Northwest, and we're going to talk about geocachers and geocaches from here and all around the globe. So while you're watching the shadows lengthen in the evening, we'll be caching in the Northwest.
And lengthening earlier every day, it seems.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
How come it's getting dark so early?
'Tis the season. Anyway, tonight we're not talking about the weather. We're talking about travel caching with Lookout Lisa and so much more. So welcome, Lisa, back. Welcome back to the podcast. We're glad you're here.
Thanks.
And live audience, we're glad you're here. So jump into that chat, interact. We love hearing from you, and we'll try to follow along and catch all the questions and comments that we can. First, however, it is time for a quick reminder that we appreciate the support of our patrons who help to keep this podcast coming each and every week. Thanks to Landsharks, one of our corporate Denali level sponsors. You can check them out at landsharkswithaz.ca. And you can also check out our other corporate Denali level sponsor, that's Gold Country Geotourism. Visit exploregoldcountry.com to explore and learn more about the Geo Tour and the entire Gold Country region. It's a great place up there. You can also hit facebook.com/exploregoldcountry. If you, yes, you out there, I know you do, you want to know more about supporting this here podcast, click that Patreon link on the cachingnw.com website.
You know, it's okay. Go ahead, stop your car, pull over in traffic. You're not going anywhere. It's 5 miles an hour anyway. And then you can hit that support.
Yeah, don't do it while you're in driving.
No.
Yeah.
No, don't do that. Don't just don't. You can continue to listen to the podcast.
Yeah, we want your support, but not like that.
Exactly. Hey, it's time. Yes, it's time for the glow. You may
What's
ask,
a glow? I beat you to it.
You're going to start to ask that before I want to know about it. That's when we've jumped the shark.
Okay.
The glow is the geocaching log of the week. Now, whether you've read it or whether you wrote it, we want to hear about it because great logs simply make geocaching better. You can send an email or a recording to feedback@cachingnw.com. You can call in to 253-693-TFTC and show us just how you glow.
That's right. And this week's glow, well, it came in from Ari54321, who found a letterbox hybrid called Treasure of Lazy Jane. That's GCJK5T, don't you know?
No, I didn't.
Now you do.
Okay.
You're in the loop. You're loopy. Anyway, this log reads, I can't remember what caught my eye first. The boat needed attribute, the unique difficulty terrain combo, or the fact that it's a letterbox. Likely all three simultaneously, as this was at the tippy top of my to-do list during a trip to Portland from Seattle. This helps me with multiple challenges I'm working towards, and I decided it'd be my main target this morning. Apparently, I'm struggling to adjust to the changing seasons, and therefore was up and ready to go alarmingly early. I decided to spend the darkness before dawn searching for a few virtuals and park and grab challenge caches. Finally, I decided the time had come and I started to consider parking options. After consulting the map, I saw what I thought would be logical. Nope, no go. Okay, back across the bridge. Nope, that won't work either. Finally, I ended up at Willamette Park. There may have been a better, closer option, but I was itching to get on the water. It ended up being about a 1.5 mile paddle to reach ground zero, but I didn't mind as there was lots of fascinating things to look at both on and off the water. In addition to a diverse array of watercraft, I also saw a dishwasher, several sets of luggage, and a concerning amount of discarded clothing. Several times I found myself subconsciously racing the rowing teams practicing nearby. Eventually, I reached the promised shores and upon stepping foot, sunk into muddy sand. Not to be thwarted by some mud, I pressed onward. I anticipated the bushwhacking and did my best to gingerly navigate under, over, often directly through the thorny blackberries that seemed to have swallowed the land. Finally, I spotted the treasure chest and, oh, the horrors, a combination lock. I've always struggled with this style of lock. It's likely since I didn't attend public school till 10th grade and never had to open a locker. That said, I've been gifted with being incredibly stubborn. So I opened this on my 27th attempt, and after reading and rereading the cache description at least 14 times. Despite all the hassle, this cache earns a favorite point from me for the fun. Thanks for placing this for me to find and enjoy, and thus being part of a fantastic weekend of geocaching.
Oh, how very nice. Now, when I was overseas for a bit, combination locks are completely foreign to anybody outside of, say, an elementary or middle school where you first got your locker and they gave you that lock to take home over the summer and you kept practicing until you got it. Once you have that set of skills, that never leaves. But that seems to be unique to the U.S. So there you go.
Okay. Yeah, I didn't have one until high school. I didn't have a middle school.
Okay. But I don't think elementary have lockers, do they?
No, many middle schoolers do. The middle school I went to, we did not, but still, yeah. And yes, I remember the school we worked at, they would send them home for the early middle schools. Here, practice this. That was a nice touch.
Yeah, because you only got 5 minutes. You don't have the opportunity to test that lock 27 times in that 5-minute passing period, right?
Yeah. All right.
Before we get started, I just want to say our thoughts and prayers go out with those suffering through the devastating hurricane that hit Florida last night, today. And, wow, guys, I hope everybody's safe. I was watching the news this morning and the governor said, if you're just watching this now, it's too late to get out.
Yeah.
You're going to have to go through it. So thoughts and prayers with those folks. Okay. Now, we haven't forgotten about our guest. If you want to add something to the chat tonight, use the hashtag Alaska. And of course, you can use the hashtag FATAS if you want to have something in the after show. Mm-hmm. And one more, use the hashtag Podcasts Baking to let us know what you're cooking. And I want to say I got a taste of the brown butter caramel cruffins from Monkey Cakes last week. And wow. Yeah, I've never had anything like that.
Okay.
So there you go. Lisa, for some reason, people like to bake during this podcast. I think it might be the time, gives them something to do. They can listen on their TV or smart speaker and away they go. So if you wanted to throw out any commands to, one of those smart agents, you could just say, hey, iris backwards and see what happens.
All right.
Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that, was I?
I'm just going to skip right over that. Okay. I am going to go back. We were talking about combination padlocks. West Coaster says they had to buy their own locks and then bring them to school. Do you remember that? And GSM times two, the creative sort that he is, used to work at a gym. He said they often would leave master locks behind, and he would lay at bed at night and crack them just for the fun of it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So. You can pull on it and feel a little click, when you get
I never got super good at that, but I play with it a little bit.
I'll have a lock story later on this evening.
Oh, okay.
Oh. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Probably not the Ballard locks, but we'll go there later.
No.
Anyway, like Chris said, we have not forgotten about you, Lisa. Thanks for joining us tonight. I said a little hello to you earlier, but perhaps there's some people joining us that aren't familiar with you. Why don't you take a second and introduce yourself and tell us what you want us to know about you?
Okay. Well, thanks. Well, thanks, guys, for having me on the show tonight. Again, it's been a while. I am Lisa, Lookout Lisa, and I've been caching for over 20 years now. I just celebrated my 20th cache anniversary last month, so the end of August. And then in 2005, I thought, well, gosh, I'd love to do something different professionally, but I don't want to cut into my geocaching time. And a friend said, well, why don't you start a business around geocaching? And I went, ding, yeah, and maybe I will. And I did. And I launched Cache Advance in the fall of 2005. So that was 17 years ago that I've been in business with my company. And it's just been a really fun thing to grow and evolve, starting on eBay, then e-commerce, wholesale. I'm a distributor for Groundspeak. They also buy my products as well. You'll see a lot of my products at geocaching.com in their shop. And then, of course, traveling around the country and now the world, across borders, going to mega events and such, and being able to meet so many amazing cachers and people that I've known online, and then to meet in person as well. So, and even finding my husband through geocaching. So that's kind of me in a nutshell, I guess, over the last 20 years.
Wow.
Geocaching's played a little important in your life there.
A little bit. It's a lifestyle. Yeah.
It's a choice. So this new startup company that you have, that's 17 years in the making here.
Yeah.
Wow.
Overnight
Exactly. Overnight success.
Mm-hmm.
Well, actually, I saw you a couple of weeks in a row there and kind of had a little withdrawal. So I thought I'd better get you back on the show to talk to you again, because, it's so nice when you have, tents that back up against each other or right next to each other. We just sit and chat.
Yeah.
But now with your store, Cache Advance, you have a few different memberships and clubs available. Would you tell us about those?
Sure. Yeah. In February of 2015, I launched the very first geocaching subscription box, which is the Cache Crate. Cache Crate, soon to be registered trademark. It's in the works right now. And I started with 27 members, and we've had over 500 at a time.
Wow.
Yeah, it's a lot to pack and ship for. And then with that, then once I got the hang, I guess, of running a monthly subscription box, it's very different than running, an e-commerce store or even a brick and mortar store. All the curating and work that goes involved with that. Then I started expanding. We have the Hero Crate, which is quarterly. It comes out every equinox and solstice. So we just shipped the fall Hero Crates as well.
Sure.
Those should be arriving at people's doorsteps, maybe even today. If they haven't already. Yeah. And then I have the Cache.
Comment in the chat if you received one today.
Yeah. And Cache Crates are going out this week as well. So, and then we also have the Cashkins Club, which is just, it's kind of our starter club for a lot of people. If you enjoy trackables, it's just $7 a month to get a trackable every month. And then we have the T-shirt club. So that is also, I've brought it into the Cache Crate. So it is part of the Cache Crates now as well. You can get just the T-shirt or the combo crate, which would be the Cache Crate and a T-shirt every month, if you'd like to do that as well. And then we have the Puzzle League, which is all about, it's not product-based, it's knowledge-based. We're helping people learn about different types of puzzles and how to solve them and practice puzzles and such. We're not actually looking at solving other people's puzzles, but the practices and types of puzzles that you may encounter while you're out geocaching.
Okay.
So you'll do better at working your own puzzles or hiding your own puzzles as well. So it's a lot going on.
Sounds like it, yeah.
Wow.
With Cache Advance, all the different directions that we've gone in.
Well, there's this guy online, goes by JD, He says he received his cache crate or his hero crate. So I don't know if he's trustworthy, though.
I don't know. It looks like a little software pirate there to me.
Yeah, doesn't he? Yeah. There's something going on there.
Yeah. Awesome.
Nice. There you go. Yeah, GSM times 2 says, JD, your proximity is helpful.
It does save the shipping costs, I would think.
It sure does. Yeah. I just bring it right home. There you go. Sometimes he packs his own crate too.
Oh, there you go.
Every now and then I put him to work.
We should mention that all these crates are put together right in your warehouse, right? I mean, it's not a service that you've sent out for. No, you hand pack each one of these as they're sent out.
Yeah, yeah. Some subscription box owners, they work with fulfillment centers that, all the product is shipped to that center and that center packs them and ships them out. No, this is by cachers for cachers. Every month I'm out shopping, curating, for the future months,
right.
Having special things made, even like our cups. This is actually a Seattle company, Mirror, who makes our cache crate and cache advance cups. Sitting on my cup.
Nice.
Yep. Yeah, special things that, I've been caching for a while. So I've got an idea of, what I want when I'm out geocaching and what other cachers have told me that they want while they're out geocaching. And so we work really hard to curate those items and then put them together every month. Sometimes they're very themed crates and very unique, exclusive gear that only our members will receive. And then we're the ones packing them and putting them together and then sending them off.
Nice. And it is a complete surprise. They don't know ahead of time what's coming.
That's correct. Yeah. Except for our t-shirt club, we do release the t-shirt designs generally ahead of time and the color and such. Not always. Sometimes it will be a surprise as well, especially if it's themed really closely with that particular month's crate.
Oh, okay.
Give
that makes sense.
Away. Yeah. But generally it is a complete surprise. So lip sealed. No spoilers until the next month.
Well, Wet Coaster does say it's not much of a surprise if JD packs his own crate. But other than that, I think that's a special case.
Yeah, that is. Also, GSM times 2 says the cache crate. Yeah, I'm probably going to do that one more time. Inspired me to make my own UV cache. It's pretty cool.
Awesome.
That is cool.
Yeah. Cool, Scott.
Yep. Yeah. And Komakino kicks out that I like what Lisa did during COVID with her live chats, Mappy Hour. So that's still going on.
That is almost 2.5 years in. Wow. Every Friday.
Because COVID isn't over yet.
Like this.
Some people say it's over.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Not really.
No, it's. I think it's going to be around like the flu for the rest of our lives.
You can't.
I'm convinced we all have it to some level in our system. It just hasn't, made a breakthrough yet. We're all carrying it. It's like the flu. We all have it. Okay. Anyway, we're not here to talk about COVID. COVID's kind of a downer. We're not going to talk about that. We are going to talk. I'm trying to read the chat and find out what's going on.
Yeah, it's going fast.
You recently took a cruise to Alaska.
Yeah.
Now, tell us about this. Was it a specific geocaching cruise, or was it something that you turned into a geocaching cruise?
Yeah, it was something we turned into as a side activity, was geocaching on our cruise. So 1.5 years ago, roughly, some very dear friends of ours, one I graduated from high school with, and his wife, whose sister we also graduated from high school with. And his wife was actually in my wedding party too.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we've been close friends with them, ever since high school. And during COVID, we've even been getting together during, Zoom and such, so we could, stay in touch with each other. And they're avid cruisers. They enjoy cruising. And they were talking about this Alaska cruise that they were planning for September 2022, thinking, maybe COVID will be over by then and cruises will be happening. Because when we started this conversation, everything was shut down. And we thought, that sounds like a lot of fun. Maybe we might want to join you. And so we started looking at it more closely and decided to go ahead and sign up for it. So that was a year and a half ago. And at that time, we didn't, know when Woodstock was going to be and such. And as it turned out, there was a big geocaching cruise that was organized, either somewhere between Woodstock and HQ event and somewhere after all of it. Ours was even further beyond that. I don't think there even were any geocachers on the ship. We didn't run into any. We did bump into some from another ship, but one cache. So anyway, it was strictly a Muggle adventure with our Muggle friends, but they definitely understand geocaching. And they were cheering us on and helping us to get caches that we were able to at the ports that we went to.
Okay. Now, when you're on a cruise ship and you have a stop at a port, you've got a very limited time, right? You've got to get back on that boat because it's going to leave whether you're there or not.
Exactly. And we had some rather close calls.
Oh, interesting. Yeah. Okay. So tell me how you plan for geocache finds at one of these stops. I mean, you'll know ahead of time how long you have in port. They make sure they tell you that.
Right. Yeah. When you're going to be coming into port and then when all aboard is, as long as there aren't any problems with the ship. Right.
Yes.
Yeah. We weren't even able to leave port in Vancouver the first day. They had a problem with one of the engines. So we were about 8 hours behind schedule and they had to cancel one of our trips to Icy Strait. But everything else worked out fine. So
you didn't see Strait?
No, not Cold Strait, Icy Strait. Definitely not. But we got to everything else. So what we did, JD and I, we both looked ahead at the stops and guessed where our ship would be, docking. There's, an area where the cruise ships come in and dock, but you don't know what part you're going to be in. Usually it's within a mile, it's walkable distance between the ships. And then trying to figure out, what caches or lab adventures we want to do on top of just being a tourist as well. And, hanging out with our friends too, what they were able to do too. We planned some, but we decided not to get our hopes set on any particular ones except for the oldest cache in Sitka. That was
nice.
Yeah, Alaska's oldest was definitely a target for us. Yeah.
Nice. I want to ask, did you already have a cache find in the state of Alaska, or was this a brand new state for you?
This was a brand new state for both of us.
Okay.
And for me, it was my last state.
What?
Oh. Yeah. Oddly, I have 50 states before this trip because geocaching.com counts Washington, D.C. as a state.
Oh, interesting. I don't know if I knew that. Okay.
Yeah. So if you are trying to qualify for a 50-state cache and you don't have Alaska or Hawaii, we'll get D.C. and you do qualify.
It'd be one closer.
Yeah. I could see how that works.
Yeah.
Right. With just simple software options, you don't want to have to set up a whole new category for a district because there's only one.
Yeah. And I'm unsure about Puerto Rico and some of our territories that they count as well. I don't know. But officially, my last state was Alaska. So I was super excited to finally get it. Yay.
Yeah, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Nice.
And JD just has one more state after this. And I'll let him put in the chat if he wants to talk about that. So that was definitely the first thing that we did when we got to our first Alaskan port was find a cache and document that. And I worked it out that it was actually a puzzle cache.
Oh, really? Nice. GSM times 2 says congratulations. Mini Mag says good job.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And just finding our way, since Puerto Rico didn't qualify as a state.
Okay, so it does not. Okay.
I believe it's a protectorate.
It's a territory or something. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
The
Not
technical
district
definition.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's one of those funny things.
Yeah.
Great. That was fun. So,
he did contribute North Dakota.
oh, there we go.
He's been there, but no fines. Lived there, actually, but no fines.
He was actually born there.
Ah.
You have to go to Gilby. We talked about Gilby last week.
Yeah, that
Gilby
sounds fun.
On Saturday, they had it's a mega event in a city of like 230.
Yeah, it's
Isn't it crazy?
It's on my list of places I really want to go now.
I thought, oh, that sounds like so much fun. So yeah, you just go to Gilby and you'll get a whole bunch of high quality finds.
Yeah, that's our plan. We definitely want to do all of Chad's caches, amazing caches there. And we were lucky enough to do a remint of his coin that got to him right before the big weekend last weekend.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Nice.
So tell me about the cruise itself. Some cruises I know leave from Seattle, other cruises leave from how long was the cruise? How many days and how many stops and all those things? Well, in a nutshell.
Sure. In a nutshell, real quick. Okay. It was a 12-day cruise.
Oh, nice.
But it took us 14 days to do it.
Okay.
So we flew up.
Kind of like my high school career.
Yeah. My college career. We flew up to Vancouver early. So we on a Monday, and then our ship left on Wednesday. So that gave us a little time on Monday, all day Tuesday to do hop on, hop off tour and geocaching, of course. And then prep to get onto the ship on Wednesday. So, we were really close to there in Abbotsford, just, what, like 150 kilometers or so to the east. But we never did make it all the way over to Vancouver during that time. So it was fun to explore. I'd never been there as well. And then it was a princess cruise that we did. And I have a little printout here of all of our stops that we did. So our first port was Juneau, and that's where we were able to get our first Alaskan caches.
Nice.
I didn't know.
Did you know?
Juneau? Juneau?
No, I didn't know.
Yeah, we had a lot of that going on.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, that wasn't unique. Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, that was fun. And we highly recommend, if you are going to go on a cruise, be sure to get a balcony. If you can, if you're going to make that expense to go on a cruise, don't get an interior room. Shoot a little higher if you can and get that balcony. You get twice the room, and then you just get a step outside, and you are right outside on the ocean, and you can watch what's going by and get up close to the glaciers or the islands or wherever you are cruising in the world. So we had a really nice balcony. And then our friends were next to us, and they can open up the balcony so we can,
oh, nice,
chat with them and, walk onto their balcony. They can be on our balcony as well. That extends your rate.
That sounds so much nicer than stowing away in a lifeboat.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's a different movie. We're not talking about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But that's in my budget.
Boiler room. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And that didn't end well.
Yeah. And so in Skagway, we did a float plane excursion.
Oh, wow.
To the Taku Glacier. Flew over that and the lodge there. And then they provide a meal as well. And we found a cache there too, and got up fairly close to the glacier and got to fly right over it. And it was really close. I mean, it's like flying nap of the earth the way they do it to get in. So that was a lot of fun. And then our next stop was Skagway. And in Skagway, we just, we didn't have any specific plans or excursions, but we ended up with extra time. And we were walking by this tour bus, and I'm like, where are you guys going? And they're like, oh, we're going up, to White Pass towards the Yukon. You want to come? I'm like, sure. So we hopped on the bus, got a great rate because it wasn't really a scheduled thing. And he was amazing, our tour guide. We had a lot of fun and got to see quite a bit. Didn't quite go all the way to the Yukon so we could have claimed that province. That's too far. He said that he did take a group of geocachers there within the last couple of weeks. They hired him just to take them to the Yukon and back. They didn't do any of those stops. I'm like, I wonder who that might have been. But we were able to find, we did find one geocache that was at one of the stops that we did. And then
my parents went up there several years ago, and I believe there's a narrow gauge railroad that goes out of Skagway. Did you go on that?
The bus tour goes the same route.
Okay.
Yeah, you can see the train. Well, not the same route, but it goes up to the same place, basically.
Okay.
And you can see the train here and there. So that's one of the excursions, or you can do the bus. Yeah, the nice thing about the bus is the bus stops at places and you can get off and maybe find a geocache where you can't jump off a train.
You can, but getting back on is hard.
Yeah.
In fact, our train expert is going to let us know that at Skagway, the White Pass and Yukon Railroad is a must. Yes. Got a cache in northern BC, but we didn't have enough time for the train to get to Yukon, but it was worth the trip.
Yeah, it was just beautiful, just absolutely beautiful up there. And the trees were just starting to turn. So it was fall time. There were deciduous trees. Mostly it's, very, higher latitude. Yeah. And so it's, the trees aren't very tall there, if there even are trees, but where there were, they were turning. It was just gorgeous. And we had amazing weather everywhere we went.
Fantastic. I mean, it's a good time to go. It's a good time to go. Lisa, the reach of the Caching in the Northwest podcast is really quite extensive.
I'm telling you.
We found out who that went up just the week before you, and that is Skyhawker.
Yes.
And Peach of the Northwest. So
yeah. And he adds, he was the best tour guide ever, your tour guide you had.
So
I wonder if he had the same one. I think his name
he was
Mike.
the one that took the bus up there the week before.
Yeah.
I believe his name was Mike. What's his name? Really nice guy. Yeah, he was amazing. That's hilarious. Yeah,
and
so after
just like we can't figure out with the U.S., Canada has some questionable things too. Yukon is a territory, not a province. Territories are more linked to federal government, while provinces have a stronger autonomy. So
cool.
There
Thank
you
you for that clarification. Yeah.
Thank you, Keats, because even in the U.S., we don't understand what our, and now I know Hawaii is a state, but it wasn't all its life. So,
it was the last state. Yeah.
So Yukon has to sit at the card table at big holiday dinners. They don't get to sit at the big table with the grown-ups.
Right, the kids' table.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's how it works.
Yeah.
Subway Mark was able to get an earth cache on the train.
Oh, cool.
Were you able to get an earth cache on the bus?
Yes. There was one, and I haven't had a chance to turn in all of our answers because we kind of worked as a team on doing those and getting the pictures. We're going to clean that all up this weekend. But yes, I believe there was one that we got.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah. And so speaking of earth caches, that's a good segue.
Yeah. Yes.
Out of Skagway. The next day we had Glacier Bay, which is a national park, scenic cruising. And there were, I think, 4, possibly 5 earth caches that we cruised right through and were able to claim. And those are now our most northern caches. So that changed my statistic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Now, a few months, I don't know how long ago it was, but Land Monkey took a cruise to Alaska. And he said he was in the hot tub while doing those earth caches.
Oh, yeah, you could have done that. Yeah.
Thinking, that's a different way to do earth caches, but okay.
Yeah. We were just standing on our deck or on our balcony. It was a little too cold to be in the hot tub. But
maybe the hot tub wasn't hot enough.
Yeah, that could be.
The fact check says 6 earth caches.
6. Oh, thank you. Yeah, awesome. So yeah, we got 6.
It's nice to have a research department just jump right on that and know all this.
Yeah, it's good to have backup. Yeah. So after that was our giant Sitka adventure was the next day. And that's where the oldest geocache is in
Okay.
Alaska. And that was one of our big targets that we wanted to get. And I was talked with Captain Math, who recently was on a different cruise up in the same area. And we talked a couple of times. And he gave me the name of a tour guide that he hired,
Mhm.
just their car to take them out to where the cache is. It's about 6 miles outside of town. And where the cruise ships let you off is 5 miles the other way. So it's like 11 miles distance. So it's not something you can walk to. And so I called her a couple of weeks ago and she's like, I'm sorry, I'm totally booked. Here's somebody else, try them.
Mhm.
And just in all the hustle, we just never did. And the day before I reached out to her again and said, do you have any cancellations? She said, no. So sorry. And we got off the ship and there was a fellow holding a sign. And I recognized the name as the one that she'd recommended. So I walked up to him and it was literally the man that she had recommended. And he was all booked up as well. I was like, I'm so sorry.
Aw.
Said, yeah, but there's e-bikes right there. Maybe an e-bike will get you there. And we're like, So we went and talked with the e-bike lady and we were a little concerned because of the time frame because we had to, bike that whole 11 miles where there was another e-bike store inside Sitka that would get us, save us 10 miles round trip. And so we opted to do that instead. We hopped the shuttle bus into Sitka and then went to go rent an e-bike and stood in line. And by the time we were next in line, they only had one e-bike left.
Oh.
And one pedal bike. So we did that.
Okay.
So JD pedaled the whole thing. And I rode the e-bike, even though
Go JD. Go JD.
Yeah, it was pretty amazing. Because there's some hills going along the 5 miles outside of town. And then it's 1 mile basically on a dirt road uphill the whole way. And then downhill a little way. And then, and part of the e-bike thing is they give you a little lock that you can use to lock up your bikes. Here's the lock story. And so we get to where we needed to be. Yeah, it was brutal. Poor guy.
He says it was brutal.
Yeah, it was easy for me. E-bikes are amazing. And I kept offering to swap out back and forth, but he kept up. So we get to where we need to go, and you have to cross over a bridge, and then it's about 50, 60 feet, no, more like 500 feet, I think, actually, bushwhacking, where there's bears, and we're just getting up to where we needed to go. And there's two gals coming up. They were hiking, big old guns right in their, open carry, They must have been like their late 20s or so. I'm like, there's bears. What are you people doing with your bicycles out here? And one of them was a geocacher, and she remembered finding that geocache.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. She said, I remember trying to find this with my kids a couple of years ago. She said it was really hard. I'm like, oh, great. But we had lots of clues. So we ended up trying to lock our bikes up to the shelter. Well, the lock wouldn't work. Somebody had changed the code on it, and we couldn't get it open. And we're like, well, okay, we're 6 miles out of town. What if somebody steals our bikes on a dirt road where there's nobody but bears? Because those gals had left. What do we do? Yeah, so we tried to hide the bikes as best we could. And then we faked, wrapping the lock around them, even though if you looked at it, it looked like they were locked up, but, you can just lock up. And went in.
Honest people, honest.
Yeah. I hope so.
The bears didn't steal the bikes.
Right. They could have. Yeah.
I've seen a bear ride a bike before.
Yeah.
It's a thing.
Yeah. But we found the cache, and we signed it and worked our way back. The bikes were still there. We were able to.
Did you make it back?
We barely made it back.
Okay.
It was close. Yeah. We did actually have time to find like one or two more caches on the way. But we had to skip a bunch, just go right past them. Just because a pedal bike all that way was just took a long time.
A lot longer than you'd anticipated.
It did, yeah. So we should have taken the e-bikes right off the ship. would have saved us, even though it was an extra 10 miles round trip, it would have saved us a lot of time and effort.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, we have an adventure to talk about. We made it back just fine. We got the bikes turned back in. He even gave us our $1 back because the lock didn't work. And
Nice.
yeah, and hopped the shuttle and got back on the ship. And it was hot tub time after that.
JD says, I think I'll submit my glow for consideration.
I think you should.
Yeah.
And Skyhawker says that's why he's still recovering.
That must be, yeah.
That's part of it. That might be why his immunity was down.
Yeah.
I look forward to reading that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was quite the adventure.
It was utterly exhausting.
Ah,
Oh, that's kind of an inside joke. I brought home a souvenir that says that. Utterly exhausting.
gotcha.
Yeah. Maybe I'll share that on another show.
Well, I have heard that when you travel and you're in a place other than your home, a great way to meet other geocachers is to host an event. And GS sometimes too says, did you host any events?
Yeah, we thought about doing that, but we did not.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Looking back, that would have been the way, our very first stop to host an event. Then we could have met any geocachers early on that might have been on the ship with us.
Oh, yeah.
But I don't think there were any on our ship. If they were, we never saw their logs anywhere.
Okay.
Saw them. We did run into another couple in Ketchikan. They were from the UK, but they were on a different ship.
Oh, okay.
So, and they helped us find the cache that we were having difficulty with.
Oh, isn't that nice?
Yeah, but they were on our itinerary, and it was great to chat with them for a little bit. But we each had caches to find and ships to get to. So,
Yeah.
yeah, that is
fantastic. How did you plan your trip? Were you looking like the night before as we get to a port? So did you have Wi-Fi on the boat? I've heard that's incredibly expensive. Or did you plan ahead of time knowing that these are the stops and the times?
A little of both. Yeah, JD did pocket queries or lists ahead of time at our stops. And, we looked at some of them, trying to figure out, look by favorites, what's going to be easy. And also, of course, lab adventures are usually a good way to get, tour in of an area, which might not, be so easy to actually find caches because of all the tourists and such. But then we did have Wi-Fi. It was part of our package, but only one device per person. So, if you wanted to use your phone, you had to log off your computer and set it up on your phone and back and forth, which was difficult. But that was a good way to look ahead to see if people were, caches were being DNF'd, or there were, issues coming up, more recently with caches and such. So we did both.
Did you have any problem with cell signal being in some of your more remote locations?
No.
Okay.
No. I knew in some of the areas like the Taiku Lodge or Taku Lodge, I don't think I'm saying that right, out of Skagway, or Juneau, or Sitka's oldest, being up in the woods. So I did offline lists, and I made sure that they downloaded, because that's been a challenge for me.
Yeah,
They think they've done it, but they really haven't downloaded.
Right.
And so I made sure that they downloaded, and then I was able to do them that way. Ideally, take a GPS. Yeah.
And if you can, have Wi-Fi on your laptop, then you can download the pocket queries to the GPS, and away you go.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And if you're doing that, make sure you have maps for Alaska. Right. A lot of the GPSs only have maps for the lower 48.
Right.
So,
which was really nice with our phones. Yeah, we're on T-Mobile Sprint, so Canada, all of North America, including Mexico. We have service at no additional costs.
Nice. So I'm trying to think, how do you get Alaskan maps for GPS? Do you have to, are they included in Canada, or is it just a separate map?
It would depend on your package.
A long time.
Yeah, that's a good question. I guess it would depend on your GPS unit, and a lot of them are subscription based. for a map
That's
update.
right. Yeah. Yeah, they are now, aren't they?
Everything's
still-
subscription based.
I'm still old school. But, I have my phone that does everything I need.
Yeah. Generally, yeah, they work great. Yeah, and mine survived quite a bit of rain. In Prince Rupert, that was another one of our stops. That was the one bad weather day we had. JD wasn't feeling 100%, so he stayed on the ship that day. And we had a hiking nature tour. And I unfortunately DNF'd the 2 caches along the way. I just didn't have time to really look for them because, it was a tour and you had to keep moving. But there was an earth cache at the end, and I did get that one.
Nice.
Yeah.
Just Finding Our Way says those maps were included with his PN60.
Yeah, I believe they were.
And Skyhawker says, I used offline Alaska maps for GC Droid on the cruise. Yeah. Nice. Yeah. Now, what transportation did you use at your stops? Was it e-bikes, walking? You did a bus?
Uh-huh.
Did you hire a private taxi or Uber to take you anywhere?
Only home from the airport on Monday here in Spokane. We tried to hire, a private car in Sitka, but they were all booked up. Everybody was booked. We called every cab company. And so then that's when we did the e-bike and the pedal bikes. We also did e-bikes in Victoria. We had almost 12 hours in Victoria on Sunday. And that was a lot of fun. But we also had an excursion. So we did a bus to Butchart Gardens and the Butterfly Garden.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, that's beautiful.
Yeah. It was my second trip there. So it was fun to be there again. But yeah, we did float plane in Geocache. We did tour bus. We did e-bikes. We did pedal bikes. A lot of footwork. I think we averaged around. I know I averaged around 15 to almost 20,000 steps the days that we were, at port. Yeah. Yeah.
How many days did you have at sea?
Let's see here. 1, 2, 3 full days.
Okay.
3 full sea days. Seems like we had a little more than that. No, I guess not. That was
there
the
were some
adjustment.
days. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And there's enough to do on a ship to keep you entertained.
Oh my gosh, there's so much to do. We didn't even get to all of it.
Right.
Yeah, there's all sorts of different trivias to do, shows. Everything's included. So, do the things that you want to do. And if you don't like it, they're all only 45 minutes long. You can get up and leave. Yeah. There's some shopping. I never went into any of the shops. I'm not much of a shopper unless I'm curating for cache crates. But yeah.
You pick up any little gold nuggets while you were up there?
Yeah. And there's food everywhere. Lots of fun things to taste and explore. And just different little spots all around the ship and activities, workout rooms. I might have got a massage.
You were so relaxed you don't even remember.
I'm not sure. Yeah. Pools, hot tubs. Of course, it was an Alaskan cruise in September, so it was a little chilly. Mm-hmm. But we had some really nice days. We were sunbathing on our balcony. Yeah.
Nice. Yeah. Nice. Well, thank you so much, Lisa, for taking the time to talk to us about cruising Alaska and making geocaching possible during that.
Yeah, you bet. Yeah. Oh, I would be remiss if I didn't mention one last thing. JD did a quick count of our caching adventure total. It's a little rough. Like I said, we haven't quite finished tallying up all of our earth caches and things, but it looks like in Canada we did 16 caches and 30 lab stops. In Alaska, it was 25 caches and 41 lab stops.
Wow.
On our trip. So it was technically about 14 days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. But
fantastic.
Yeah. Well, thanks for letting me share. This was kind of a trip of a lifetime, and I'm super excited that we got to do it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Yeah.
Exactly. And folks, thank you for tuning in to this episode of Caching in the Northwest.
We appreciate you all. And I want to take a moment to, of course, thank Land Sharks and Gold Country Geotourism. They are our corporate Denali level sponsors. Landsharks.ca is the outdoor adventure and geocaching store. Check them out online, and they ship online orders daily. And for absolutely amazing geocaching adventures, check out exploregoldcountry.com.
That's right. And we want to thank our faithful Denali level supporters. That's Land Sharks, Gold Country Geotourism, Team Squirrel, Groovy Owl, and Cachely, the geocaching app. If you want to know more about supporting the show, click that Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website, like our train expert, Subway Mark, did.
Yes. And LG 9000.
And Antaeus.
Tick Magnet.
Logwork.
RE54321.
Kitty Quest.
3 Hams and a Rose.
Green Words.
UDAC.
Camp Clan.
MNerf.
Keats 94.
Kennel Barb.
You Talks to Rocks.
GSM times 2.
Skyhawker, who was just there a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. Team Noltex.
Segehove.
Wet Coaster.
Kid Vegas 19.
Oh,
who,
heard of him.
Yeah, I've heard of him too.
Yeah, he was in the chat. How about Just Finding Our Way?
How about J-Car?
About Alarobrick.
And Boomer 365.
Gas Station Tuna.
Fairwood West.
Sprouter.
The Pendragon.
Ackerdock.
CRS 98.
Donners.
Doramore.
GeoNav Pro.
Genies.
Limax.
Well, J-Car's in here twice. He's so
Wow.
nice.
How about that? Thanks.
I had to go look. Didn't I already say J-Car?
Well, thanks, J-Car. And thanks, Trexzer.
Peach of Washington.
Flagman.
Kev MacD.
Korsgut.
Seebeck Tribe.
And MC3 Cats.
Yes.
Oh, we thank all of them. And what's great is I saw so many of those names in the chat during the show, too. So it's great to have you all join us. Thanks for all of them. And thanks, of course, Lisa, for joining us again. You're a frequent flyer, repeat guest here, and we love having you here. If somebody wanted to get in touch with you, how would you like them to do that?
Oh, gosh. Thanks for asking. I guess the best way would be to go to cache-advance.com. There, I've got links to everything, including our store, too, but all the different ways to get a hold of us. And on Facebook, it's Cache Advance. We have a Facebook page and a Facebook group. And it's the same Cache Advance on Instagram and TikTok.
And folks, we want to thank you for taking the time to listen to this episode of Caching in the Northwest. Your support helps keep the quality shows coming. If you like the show, click the Patreon link on the CachingNW.com website. Now, if you didn't like the show, let us know what you want to talk about. In either case, please subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, and more. Subscribe and give us a review. Now, if you were in a restaurant, you would tip. If you were in a live audience, you would clap. But since you're on a podcast, leave us a free, fabulous, fast, fantastic 5-star review. You can call 253-693-TFTC and leave us a comment, ask us a question, or buy us a dessert any time of the day or night. And of course, you can always email us at feedback@cachingNW.com. Join us live every Thursday night at 9 p.m. Pacific for a live show and chat. This show is produced by Chris Umfenauer, Jim Paulwitz, and Jay Kennedy. It's licensed under a Creative Commons Attribution 3.0 license, copyright 2022 by Chris Umfenauer. And folks, I ask you to stay tuned for
The After Show.
the after show. Ooh.
We've got a little bit of after
We got
show
a little
stuff.
bit, yeah.
Some of it's just lingering from the show. Oh, thanks, JD. And one of the first comments I was going to bring up was about JD. It says, oh, that was quick. Was that that it was quick to get 11 thumbs up, the comment before, or was it quick that the show's over already because we're having so much fun?
I think we're having so much fun.
Yeah.
It went fast. Yeah.
Early on in the show, Seebeck Tribe said, Lisa, it seems weird to see you there on the couch without your sidekick. So
Yeah.
we're sorry JD couldn't join you this time in person, but we'll have you on again.
Yeah.
Yeah. Get well, rest up,
Yeah.
and we'll have you back. Well, there's a question from GSM times 2 to JD, who wants to know, are you going to Yuma 2023?
Oh,
It's on our calendar.
there you go.
go.
Yeah. More than likely we will go. My in-laws, JD's parents, are there in the wintertime, right in Yuma. So it's a great time.
Well,
Perfect.
that's convenient. Yeah.
Yeah, of course you're going to visit them. Uh-huh. Yeah, that's the reason.
It's geocache too, so it's okay.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, right.
You can get that in.
Yep.
Oh, let's see.
Yeah, fun.
Subway Mark says a balcony is a must for Alaska.
Especially if you get to do the scenic touring up around the glaciers and such. It was just amazing.
Is that technically the Inside Passage? Or is that a different
No, it's
cruise?
different actually. Inside Passage is just along the coast, basically.
Okay.
This what they call scenic cruising on Princess Cruise, or at least the one we were on, is when you are allowed to cruise right up next to the glaciers.
Oh, okay.
Where they, actually come meet the water. That you might get lucky and see them calving and such. And we had 2 opportunities for that, or 2 days of scenic cruising, in Glacier Bay and then Endicott Arm.
Now, let's say you
See.
okay. So
Yeah.
let's say you're going up and you happen to be on the left-hand side of the boat, which is just looking out to the ocean. Is there an equal day coming back where then you would be facing land or not?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
Yeah, we actually, our friends that were experienced with this, they chose where to be on the ship, and they chose for this cruise to be on the starboard side, which is the right side.
Mhm.
And I'm glad that they did. They seemed to know what they were doing.
Yeah,
It
sounds
wasn't
like
their first Alaskan cruise. On some of the scenic cruising, you cruise up a kind of a narrow passage, and then the ship parks and then slowly turns around so everybody gets a view, and then it goes back. So either side, you're okay. You get what's coming or going, and then you can always leave your stateroom and go up top or one of the viewing decks or something, and then get a bigger picture from there. Which we did as well at 1 or 2 of the glacier stops
awesome.
too. Yeah.
Do they let you know by, like a PA announcement that they're approaching the glacier? Okay.
Yeah. It was fantastic. And the first day that we did, which was Glacier Bay National Park, they actually had a park ranger come aboard, and it's kind of a big deal. They come up with a ship, and you can watch them board onto the cruise ship. We missed that. It was on the other side and we weren't watching, but, and then they have a PA system. So if you're out on your balcony or up top decks, you can hear them talking. And then there's also always on 24/7, on the TV, they have I forget what they call it now. JD might be able to put it in the chat if he remembers. It's like the bridge cam, I think is what they call it. And so it's what you see if you're standing on the bridge. So it's a view out, and then
Bow shot.
Yeah, the bow shot, exactly. Yeah, it is bridge cam. And then the ranger comes through on your TV as well. But there's a little bit of delay between what you hear on your TV and what you can hear outside on the speaker.
Oh, sure.
So that was a little
disorienting.
Yeah, you could hear more clearly on the TV than echoing off the mountainsides and the ocean there. But and she's out there looking for wildlife. They spotted, we got to see bears, and they told you exactly where to look and what to see, and some mountain goats, and talk about the flora and the fauna and the glaciers and the history and such. So it's a really kind of an immersive experience, and a lot of reverence to the First Peoples as well.
First Nation.
First Nation, yeah.
That's what they call them in Canada. I
Yeah,
don't know what
Alaska, where we were
Was it
there
same-
for that. But
Yeah.
same concept. And
Yes,
it's shared land with the national federal parks and the original peoples there as well, and Alaska and all of Americans. We own the national parks, basically. So that was a really neat experience to have that kind of guided tour. And then there were naturalists on the ship doing presentations before and after that. And then throughout the cruise, there would be, I think there were 4 or 5 different sessions that you could go to talking about different aspects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
So it's very educational as well as not just, a big party.
Yeah, but there's a party aspect involved. Yeah.
A little bit, yeah. Although we were the young ones on the ship pretty much. But
Oh, let's see. Now, going back a little bit, Just Finding Our Way says GCHQ gives you a country souvenir for Puerto Rico.
Good to know.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. Again, it's probably just easy classifications, I would think. GSM times 2 says, I learned today that the U.S. flag had 15 stripes at one time. In fact, the Star Spangled Banner flag had 15 stripes. Question for the group? Why? Number of colonies at the time? I was always told that the stripes represent the colonies and the stars represent the states.
Could have been.
But don't know. Okay, so Starcacher says if you combine all the hashtags today, that would be podcast baking Alaska or Foodcast baked Alaska.
Which we had baked Alaska
Oh, did you?
last night. Yeah.
An actual? Oh, not on the cruise?
Yeah.
Because you could have an actual. Oh, on the last night of the cruise. Gotcha.
Last night of the cruise. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mhm.
An actual chunk of Alaska they brought in and baked for you.
All right. They baked it. Yeah. Hot off a volcano.
Ooh. Let's see. Keats got a couple of things. Of course, he's got a new episode of Keats 94 Geocaching Adventure. It goes live tomorrow at 10 a.m. Over the rainbow and into the mountains. Not quite the way the song goes, but this might be more interesting. Adventures in the mountains west of Whistler. Beautiful scenery.
Wow.
And he says, I'm starting to experiment adding a second, shorter episode to my channel during the week. I'm going to call it 2-Minute Tuesdays. We'll see how it goes.
I like that.
Awesome. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. I, like you, always heard that wishful thinking.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always heard the 13 stripes represented the 13 original colonies, but I'm sure that there was a reason.
Iham says at the time they were adding both stars and stripes for each new state.
Well, there you go. That makes sense.
I think Scott's got it there. He explains it further. Yeah.
That's correct. When the first 2 new states were added, they made 15 stripes. Then the next time 5 states were going to be added, they went back to 13
Okay.
for the states.
Well, there you go.
Yeah, it would have been.
Yeah, I mean, nothing was set in stone. And they're just one-off flags, right? I mean, they're literally sewing them right there. It's not going through a huge production line.
Right. You have to get all your specs into China.
Yeah. When you say the Betsy Ross flag, that's because she actually sewed it herself.
Yeah.
Oh. Oh my goodness.
Well,
so what are
thanks.
people baking tonight? I didn't see any baking. Or did I miss?
I didn't see any. If you had any podcast baking, we don't have a chat lackey tonight. So if you did any podcast baking, you're going to have to resubmit it again just so we can catch up.
Send us a sample.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that too.
I had baked tilapia for dinner, but
Well, that counts.
yeah.
We'll I think a Starcacher who often will bake a couple of pounds of bacon.
Oh,
So we
yum.
can have it use it in the upcoming weeks.
Well, it
And
looks like
it
it was
really
a late night in the kitchen. So
Yeah.
Must have
It
been.
makes the house smell so good, right?
yeah.
Bacon. Well, thanks guys so much for having me on the show.
Oh, you are welcome.
Yeah.
Betsy didn't have time to sew another flag or bake.
Or bake.
Yeah. Oh,
Folks,
Scott.
thanks so much for joining us. Lisa, too. And until next week, get out and get caching in Alaska, which is in the Northwest.
It is.